your burpees all wrong, and maybe doing all of your exercises wrong, maybe with the wrong focus. We're here to chat about what's the purpose of the movements that we do and why should we be doing them? So for example, the internet, YouTube has a lot of people doing, and I'm not here to talk trash, right? I'm just talking about, let's be intentional about what we're doing and let's have an idea of what the purpose is instead of just going through the motions. So today we're talking about burpees, we're talking about squats, we're talking about standards, and we're talking about the reason for doing anything. So first, the burpee. I'm going to do one for you and talk about what the hell I'm doing. So the burpee in my world and every exercise has a function. This one in particular is, can you get up? Can you see me here? Off the floor. So if you get down on the floor, can you get back up? Oftentimes in YouTube, what I'm seeing is, the Navy SEAL burpee or the 1 pump, 2 pump, 5 pump, 10 pump, whatever burpees, right? Where people are getting down into this kind of push-up position and they do like a knee and then they do a knee and then they do 5 more push-ups and then they get up. And what we're missing here, and let me just stir it up, is if you never put your body, your chest, your thighs on the floor, you've never done a burpee. Sorry to ruffle feathers here. If you do burpees that way and you like them, so be it. But understand that each movement should have a purpose. And in my world, it should not be to make a certain muscle look a certain way, right? It is, the purpose in my world should be, can I do a thing with this exercise? So if I'm doing a squat, I'm not thinking about, I'm using my quads or my hamstrings or my glutes. I'm doing a squat, and that's the whole purpose. Can I get back up from that position? Can I stand up from the shitter? Can I get off my couch without assistance? I'm always thinking about the movements in terms of their application to real life. So understand that when you do your burpee like this, you've yet to do a burpee. And I'm sorry if that's your thing, but let's chat about it. I want you to understand that there's maybe a better way, maybe a way that's going to allow you to have better life capacity, as opposed to just, hey, I built up a lot of push-up capacity. So we're talking about that today. I'm going to get in some burpees here because it is cold. So when I do a burpee, what I'm looking to do is just get down on the ground. It can be a walk. And I'm looking to get back up. I can crawl down, jump down, hop down, does not matter. But I need to get down. And this is the problem that's happening, I think. And it's not a problem. It's just an inefficiency that we're getting into this understanding that a burpee involves doing a whole bunch of push-ups, but never taking your chest to the ground. So a burpee is not a burpee unless we hit the floor, right? I've got 90-year-old personal training clients, and we do burpees. They don't involve any push-ups. They don't involve any knee tucks. They involve lay yourself down and get yourself back up. And sometimes that involves laying down on a bench and getting yourself back up. Because in the end, the burpee is, can you get up off the floor? One of the leading causes of issues in seniors is falls. If you fall and you can't get back up, then you've got a problem, right? Then you are living dependently. You are living with the need for somebody else to take care of you as opposed to you being able to do it yourself. So think about the burpee as you're building capacity to live independently. You're maintaining capacity so that you can live your life without somebody else wiping your butt and getting you up off the floor. So understand that there's a lot of fitness value in doing those, Navy SEAL or YouTube burpees, whatever we're going to call them. But in the end, if you never train the capacity to fully, from the floor, get up, there's going to be a limitation in your capacity, right? Understand that if I only do my reps, my push-ups to, 6 inches off the ground, there's a range that I'm not going to have, right? I mean, I could even take this one step further and go to a deficit, put my hands up on something, bring the chest even lower than the floor, because I want to build capacity to get up. And if I never get down, I can't get up. So we'll talk about a few more movements here today, and the reasons why you should do them. And the reason why you should do them, that functional capacity tells you how to do the movement. So for example, what's another funny movement that people do on the internet? Stop it. We could talk pull-ups here as well. I'm not going to set up the pull-up bar, but you see pull-ups on the internet where people come to a point of tension at the bottom, right? So they'll do their pull-up and then they come down and the elbows never straighten, right? And this is an old bodybuilding philosophy that you want to keep tension on the muscles. And sure, like if your goal is bodybuilding but not life, then great, keep tension on the muscle. But if you want to have capacity for real life and use the pull-up for what it's meant for, then you got to go full range of motion, because in real life, this is not where you're going to end up, right? If you ever need to use a pull-up in real life, it's going to likely be from here. You're likely going to be climbing something or hanging from something. You're not just going to be in this position. So if you're limiting your training, if you're not taking yourself to that full range of motion, then that range that you miss you will have lack of capacity. You'll have a hole in your fitness. So let's talk squat, because this is the 5 a.m. squat club, and I am all about quality squats and doing it for the right reason. So in my world, yes, Maple definitely is participating here. In my world, and what should be in your world, and once again, like if you're not doing them like this, I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying maybe we should consider why we're doing a squat and how we're doing them. So oftentimes, especially on the follow along YouTube workouts, you'll see a lot of this like kind of half range of motion squat business. And the logic, I'm not 100% sure, but the goals, I guess, of these people is like, hey, I just want to like get a leg pump. Right, I want to create some blood flow in the legs so that I'm building muscle or whatever. But you're not really without load. And I don't care about that. Right? I want to be able to do things. So if in terms of the squat, what that means is I want full range of motion. Right? This may not be a spot that I'm able to load yet, because I may not be neutral down here. But if I'm not working through full range of motion, meaning like ass to grass, right? When I say squat, like why stop there? In real life, you're going to end up down here, right? If you have children, this is where they play. This is where, if you're doing some gardening, you're doing some work on the ground, like this is the position. So if we're only building capacity to here, if your squat looks like this, you're not doing a squat. You're doing a knee bend with the goal of shoving some blood into your quads. And when you put it that way, does it not sound not irrelevant, but kind of missing the point, right? I'm going to squat so that I can squat. I'm going to deadlift so that I can do that out in real life. So another point I want to kind of, trash on is the idea of doing the same thing over and over again. So oftentimes within this community that I've found that great motivation, right? They're getting people moving and they're motivating that. But oftentimes what I'm seeing is it's basically the same thing every day. Right? We're doing the same burpee. We're doing, maybe a different variation. Maybe there's 2 pumps today and the next day there's 5 pumps, or, there's some slight variation of the burpee, but it's the burpee. It's the burpee. It's the burpee over and over and over and over and over again. And understand that like that's going to make you good at that thing. So if I'm doing a half range push-up burpee, I'm going to get really good at a half range push-up burpee. If I don't vary what I'm doing, I'm only going to be good at that same thing. So when we're here in the morning on the 5 a.m. Squat Club, we do a different workout every day. There's, say 100 movements that we're going to do, and we're going to put them in different combinations every day so that you're not doing this with this all the time or this with this all the time. Because what you get when you mix it up is the body has to adapt. Right? Take this for example. If you're used to running, and then on separate days you're used to deadlifting or squatting, the first time you put those two together, you will fail because you're not used to training them together. So you will only be good at what you do. So understand that if you're doing the same workout, the same movement every day, right? Burpees, 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 burpees. And I'm not talking shit about the burpees. It's a fantastic movement, especially if you're thinking about the function of it and taking it to the floor. But what I'm saying is if you want, I see these people and they're on here every day, right? They're working so hard. But I think what's happening is you're getting like half of the value, right? You're dedicated and you're consistent and you're there doing it all the time. But if you're doing the same thing over and over again, you're missing half the value. So what I'm saying is that if you're in that world, consider changing it up, right? And I know that, a lot of the other movements are more complex, and the goal is to make this accessible and make it easy and just have anybody be able to come in and join. And that's great if you're going from 0 to 1. But if you're already at 1, like why not change it up? Why not get the most bang for your buck? What you're going to get with constantly varied functional movements executed at high intensity like we do every morning on the 5 a.m. Squat Club is you're going to get a wide variety of fitness, right? You're going to have capacity across all different types of modalities, any type of movement, any type of loading, any type of duration of workout is going to be accessible because you're changing up what you do and not just doing the same thing over and over again. So, refresher, a burpee goes to the floor and then you get up and everything else in between is irrelevant. The point is lay down, get up. It is functional movement. What is the purpose of the movement that you're doing? So another example is the push-up. Arya Gatra. I just scrolled to Fitness Jesus. I'll take it. I've definitely been called that before. So if you're doing a push-up, think about what is the purpose of a push-up. Is it to work the triceps and pump the chest or whatever? In my world, no, it's not. It is get up off the floor. It is push up. So the range of motion on the push-up in my world should be to the floor. Even to the point, if you got out of the way, I could show this a little bit easier. One of the types of push-ups we do is called a hand release push-up. So you get, probably can't see with the dog there. You get down to the floor, you lift your hands off the ground, you lock up the body, and then press back up. And the point is, you've gone to the floor, right? Think about this. If you're, elderly people struggle because they fall and they can't get up. If you're trying to build capacity to get up, but you never get down, right? If you're gonna fall, think of an older person getting in trouble and falling, they're not gonna end up here, right? That's an extremely hard thing to do, to catch yourself in that rigid position. I did it because I did it intentionally and because I work my ass off every day and I have the capacity for that. But if you think about your grandparents, that's not what's gonna happen. They're going to end up fully on the ground, right? They're going to fall down. They're not going to catch themselves like that. They're going to fall down. And then from that position, if you've only practiced a half range of motion push-up, right, doing this kind of I'm going through the motions but not doing anything, you're not going to have the capacity. So understand that each movement has a purpose and it's been skewed, right? We've got so much bodybuilding influence in our fitness culture that we're thinking about the muscle instead of the movement. And the muscle is irrelevant It shouldn't be part of the thought at all. We shouldn't be focusing on, hey, when I do this thing, I'm activating this muscle. You should be thinking, can I do that movement? Can I get out of a squat? Can I get up off the floor? Can I press something over my head, not out to here, not to there, but all the way overhead to the point where if I needed to carry it, I could lock it out, support it with my skeletal structure, and walk around strong. I guess another concept that we'll talk about here is, the calisthenics as your whole training, right? So another corner of YouTube is the calisthenics world. And the burpees and the calisthenics, I guess it's all the same, but you'll see people doing pull-ups, push-ups, air squats, and burpees, in essence. Sometimes you'll see some dips as well. And the way that I look at it is the more different movements they're doing, the better. That being said, we get to the end of this kind of calisthenics and it's like, well, we're missing some load. We're missing the act of picking up and lifting and carrying. No, right? Taking something that is external to us and moving it around. Stop it. So like if I needed to, pick up this dog, am I building capacity through doing dips and pull-ups and half range of motion burpees? No, I'm not. Jesus Christ. If I want to build capacity safely and efficiently for picking things up, I need to pick things up. I need to deadlift. If I want to be able to, I live on a farm here and and I've got chickens. So we've got bags of feed for the chickens. If I need to be able to carry that thing around, I'm going to take it from the ground. I'm going to bring it through the hips. I'm going to clean it to my shoulder, and then I'm going to go with it. If I'm not practicing how to engage and how to coordinate creating power and driving that thing up, I'm not going to have the capacity. So there's a wide variety of skills that if you want to be a functional human being with capacity in all areas, then you can't just do burpees. You can't just do squats. You can't just do pull-ups. It's got to be a wide variety. It's got to be changing so that your body is not getting stagnant. It's always adapting. So if you're going to do a movement, you're going to do it all the way. So a burpee comes to the ground. A squat goes as low as you can. A push-up to the floor. A pull-up to full dead hang. From full dead hang to fully chin over the bar. If you're going to do something, number one, do it right. But number two, know why you're doing it, right? Is the purpose of a push-up to build your chest, or is it to push up? So I love those standards where it pushes a little bit further, like the hand release push-up or the T burpee. If you get down on the ground for your burpee, Mabel, get the fuck out of the way. You get down on your burpee and your arms come out to the sides, right? I'm down there. There's no question that I am laying down on the floor. Therefore, I've done that full rep instead of doing a half range of motion movement. Let's see what we're saying here this morning. Getting to depth in my squat development. It's what's firing my pelvic and hip range of motion, activating my weak low back muscles to grow, hence my tightness. BP seems to dynamically work in this area for me. BP? Doggo is ready for his 6 a.m. fetch club. Yeah, she's just too much. Can't get down, get up out of my head now. Fantastic. Yeah, and thinking about that squat, right? So on the range of motion issue, I like this. Some people will say, well, I can't squat low enough. I struggle with getting range of motion. So you got two options in that situation. One, keep doing half range of motion squats and completely limit it and forever not be able to do that range of motion, or work on it, right? Grab yourself a little bit of a counterbalance and force it. You can call this dumbbell yoga or barbell yoga. Use that weight to find that spot, right? Work on increasing that range of motion, because if you don't go there, you won't have it, right? If you always keep it shallow, if I just squat to here, even if I squat 1,000 pounds, which obviously I'm never going to do, but if I'm only squatting to here, that's where I'm going to have capacity. If I never get down below that point, I'm never going to increase my ability to do so. So I'm just going to keep blabbing about the burpees. I'm going to do, Maple, can you go away? Can you just go away? I'm just going to do a few because hopefully we can get some people in here who do burpees differently, and we'll talk about that. So a burpee is get down all the way. Lay it down on the floor. Don't worry about doing push-ups. Don't worry about doing pumps. Don't worry about doing knee to chest. Lay down. Because if you don't lay down, you have yet to do a burpee. Get on the floor. Get back up. That is the whole thing. Lay down. Put your weight on the ground to the point where you could show it. Lift the hands, whatever you want. And then get back up. It's a simple thing, just like most exercise, but we complicate it. We start thinking about, hey, if I want to isolate this muscle, I'm going to do this incline or decline or fly. Like, stop it. Stop overcomplicating everything and just move, right? If I'm going to do a lunge, like I'm not thinking about, okay, I'm going to work this quad. I'm going to get down and I'm going to get up. And the lunge is a piece that like I do all the time. I'm down either on the farm or I'm down with my kids. I'm in this position, right? This is a functional movement because I use it. It's a real life thing. But if I'm not going through that full range of motion, bringing my knee to the floor, then I'm not going to have capacity to get out of there, out of that full position when I end up there. Right, so squat all the way. Right? There's no point in doing a half range rep. Don't tell me that like, well, the half range is better for the quads and then this one is better for... No, it's not a squat. A squat is a squat, right? You sit yourself down and you stand yourself back up. If you go out to the Middle East, well, I'm not sure exactly Middle East, but I've been to Israel. And there are a lot of countries out there where they don't sit on toilets, right? The toilet is a stupid North American invention, which really limits your ability to get your shit out of there, right? The position that we are meant to go to the bathroom in is this one, right? If you're having issues with your bowel movements, I mean, one, you got to be eating real foods and not a whole bunch of processed crap that's getting stuck in your colon and focusing on fiber. Fiber is not an essential nutrient. But if you're eating the right things and you're having troubles pooping, which would be strange, I guess, at that point, this is it, right? Go outside, sit your ass down, and you're going to poop. If you're familiar with the squatty potty, right? That's an invention that somebody made up that gets you closer to the squat position because the squat is where you're supposed to poop. And I know that's not what we were aiming to talk about today, but it's in line with the same idea that there's a reason why we do these movements, right? Exercise has not always been a thing in our evolution. Exercise is something that started happening when fucking dog. Sorry. Exercise is something that we started doing when we stopped living like humans, right? We started putting ourselves into unnatural environments like living in a city, working at a desk, all these kinds of things that don't require actual fitness, right? When we lived out in the wilderness as hunter-gatherers, you didn't work out because you didn't need to. Your life was working out. But now we assign ourselves a little bit of time to build capacity, but we've lost the focus of it. We've lost the purpose of exercise, which always should have been to bring back those capacities that we would have been using when we were hunter-gatherers so that we can be functional people, right? Understand that if you're just working out for an aesthetic and as a result, you're moving through some strange range of motion, right? Like this is not a functional movement, or you're doing a functional movement, but you're doing it to limited range, like an up down or a funny like half range push-up burpee. If you're not going through those full ranges of motion, you're not developing that human capacity, right? If you had to live out in the wilderness, there are certain things that you would have to be able to do, right? You would have to be able to squat, get down there and move around. You'd have to be able to pick up things and carry them around. You'd have to put things up overhead and probably hang and climb and do all those real life fucking sprinting human movement kind of things. You would never see someone out there doing one of these on like a cable machine or a kickback or some silly bodybuilding movement, because there's no application to real life there. The only place where bodybuilding isolation movements have a purpose is in rehab and prehab. If you've got an injury because you've been living not like a human for so long, and you might need to do a little bit of specific work on one muscle or one area, then yes, those movements may come into place, using a band or something to rehab a joint. But if you're trying to build functional capacity, there's no place for that stuff, especially if you don't have 5 hours to train every day. If you're limited in your time, you want efficiency and you want effectiveness. So you don't want to do 3 hours of half range of motion burpees with the objective with the end, what am I trying to say? With the outcome being like, yeah, I got a bunch of half range push-ups in, and I never really got to the floor, like I never really built any capacity to do a real thing. Then it's like you're spinning your wheels and you're expending so much energy without getting the benefit of doing those functional movements. So let's get a few burpees here because we're getting cold, and we'll just demo what a burpee should look like. So there's no proper way to get down and there's no proper way to get up. The only thing that matters is that you get down. This is the bottom of a burpee. If you don't get to this position, in my world, you have not done a burpee. You have not completed the most important part of the burpee, which is getting down. You've just kind of taken the life out of it and taken some. Let's think about it this way. What we've done with nutrition is the same thing as what we've done with exercise. We've taken a reductionist view. So we look at nutrition and we look at food as the combination of protein, carbs, and fat in something. That is not what food is. Food is real food. I'm not talking about that shit that comes in a box out of a factory that has 50 ingredients in it. I'm talking about food. I'm talking about a steak. I'm talking about some eggs. And that stuff is so complex and full of different nutrients and phytonutrients and things that we don't even know about, that to reduce it down to protein, carbs, and fat, you're missing the whole point. And that's kind of the idea that we've gotten with exercise / bodybuilding, is that, I'm going to look at this picture of a dude or a chick that looks the way I want to look. And I'm going to say, okay, so I'm missing a little bit of muscle here or there, and I'm going to go exercise to achieve that aesthetic. You've missed the point, right? Exercise is meant to make you a more physically capable human being. If the thing that I'm doing doesn't make me able to jump over my kid or take my kid and toss them up in the air, it's not valuable. There's no purpose to it. So, on the note of the burpee again, do the damn burpee. Lay down on the floor. Get down before you get up, because if you've gotten up before you've gotten down, you've missed the point. Go away, dog. So, burpee. Lay down. Get up. And Ryan, I think you even mentioned down here that the best part of the burpee that is missed many, many times, and even in the Jason Khalipa burpees, is we're missing the celebration. Right? There will come a time where getting up off the floor becomes challenging, maybe when you're 110. And at that point, once you get up off the ground and you make it happen, celebrate. Right? You did a thing that is real life that will have implications to your longevity, and you might as well celebrate the fact that you did it and that you can do it. So remember, if you're going to do a burpee, if you're going to do anything, know the purpose of it. Know why. Why would I go through that movement? Why am I doing a squat? Do I care about what my quads look like, or do I want to be able to get up out of a squat? Do I want to be able to, take something from the ground and take it overhead? Or do I want to take it out of a rack and do this? What the hell is this? That's hard. It's silly, But like, what's the point? When in life are you going to under load bend your elbow up towards your shoulder or your hand towards your shoulder through elbow flexion? Or even funnier one, this guy, the old lateral raise. What are you doing? Like, yeah, I get it. The purpose is to work the medial deltoids. Why? Who cares? How is that going to help you in real life? So, standards of movement, functions of movement, that should be the only thought when we're creating a workout, choosing a workout plan, following a workout, doing a workout, whatever. What am I getting out of this? What improvement in my capacity to live independently or live the physical kind of life that I want is this improving? Think about this. If you want to play a sport, right? You want to be as coordinated and athletic as possible. Understand that the human body is built to do that. It's built to move in a coordinated whole body way, right? Functional movements, one of the definitions of functional movements is they basically originate from the core, right? From the hips, and then they move through a beautifully smooth wave of contraction out towards the extremities, right? So if I'm going to throw a ball, it's going to start here, I'm going to twist at the hips, and then it's going to work its way out to a final, small little movement, flick of the wrist, fast speed, low force. It's magical. If I'm going to jump, same thing. It's going to start here. I'm going to start moving slowly, and then the wave of contraction is going to work its way down into my legs, down into my feet, till eventually it's this quick drive, little flick of the toes that lets me finish that jump. Same thing with running, jumping, throwing, sprinting. All of the above require this entire body coordination. Every time you disconnect a muscle group or a joint from the whole body and it's like wave of contraction, it's functional move together, you're making yourself less athletic. Right? Anytime you take a single joint and move it through a range of motion, you're teaching that thing to move in isolation as opposed to a broad, general, inclusive whole body movement. Right? So, when I see someone, they write up a workout and it's leg day or it's back day or it's shoulder, stop it. It's shoulder day. What day is that? Like, what day in life is shoulder day? and I get it. Most of our lives, it's getting bright out there. Most of our lives are not very physical. And, we sit at a desk and we drive in a car and then we sit on a couch and watch TV. And there's very little requirement for physical capacity. But humans are made for physical capacity. Right? Humans aren't made to sit on a couch and sit at a desk for 8 hours. Like, that's not what we are designed for. So, stop it. The contradiction to that is like real life, right? What I would call real life, like what we came from, what we had to do as humans to get by before everything was so convenient and easy and handed to us. So, I've decided personally to take this step and get away from that lifestyle, and now I live on a farm, right? And I've chosen to do that. But the point is, everything that I do in here, right, functional movement wise, is for the goal of being able to do it out there, right? And this is where the disconnect is because so many of us live in a world where we don't need physical capacity. So it doesn't translate that our exercise and our life should be preparing each other for each other, or that our exercise at least should be preparing us for our life, because our life doesn't require any physical capacity. And that doesn't mean that if your life doesn't require physical capacity, then you should train like a robot and a bodybuilder. It just means that you should reconsider. Even though your life doesn't require that capacity, why not build it? Why not build capacity as a human, a functional human being that moves like a human and not like like a robot, it's going to help. It's going to be helpful either way. You're going to get into a situation, when you're out camping or you're working construction, whatever it is. In construction, you probably have a pretty physical life if you're doing that. But you're going to need a movement. You're going to need some strength. You're going to need to be able to do those things. And it's not going to be there because you haven't practiced it. So, a couple things that I'm going to go over here. First is the standards of your movement. So if you're going to do something, do it for a purpose. For example, if I'm going to squat, I'm not thinking about the muscles. I'm thinking about doing a squat. I'm thinking about getting myself down as low as I possibly can. I'm balancing on my feet. I'm working my flexibility. I'm working my range of motion through those joints fully. So standards of movement, and that applies to the squat, it applies to the burpee, it applies to a pull-up, that there should be a full range of motion happening. And that, if you're going to count that rep, are you going to count it if you didn't do a full one, right? Am I going to count a push-up if I'm moving through a half range of motion? Personally, no. The other issue there is if you're not standardizing your movements, if you're not making sure that you're hitting a certain range of motion, how do you compare your fitness? So if I do a workout today and I do, say, 100 squats for time, and I do them like this, and then I come back a week later and I want to retest that, but then when I retest it, my squats look like this, and as a result, it takes me twice as long. Now, I might look at that and say, oh no, like I've lost fitness, I've gotten slower, I've gotten weaker. But you can't. At that point, you're comparing apples and oranges. So the key is hit a standard and hit it every time. Ideally, it's the right standard, right? The functional movement standard, the point of the movement standard. And that when you do it the next time, you do it exactly the same way so you can actually compare if you're getting better or not. If you just go through some motions, then how do you know? Okay, just you guys up. What's happening? No, let's go. Sorry, I'm still here. So, range of motion standards, the purpose of your movement, constant variance. There's so many pieces that have gotten lost, right? With our focus on bodybuilding, our focus on aesthetic training. We'll get questions in here. How do I, build this muscle or make that look better? I don't care. I don't know. I don't care. What you want to do, or what I want to do at least, is build functional capacity. So I'm going to eat real foods, right? Nothing that comes from a package, mostly meat, ideally from regenerative sources. And I'm going to move my body like a human, and I'm going to end up with real capacity. As opposed to focusing on, hey, what little macronutrient balance can I eat that's going to, direct more muscle growth? And then what exercises can I do that'll make those muscles look a certain way? To me, you've lost the point. You're probably not getting a lot of what we'd call health benefit out of it. And you're going to create incapacity and potentially sickness, right? If you're focusing on, hey, in order to build this muscle, I need this certain macro balance. And within that macro balance, you just put anything, right? I need protein, carbs, and fat because that's the reductionist way of looking at nutrition. And this bowl of ice cream fits within that macro balance, so I'm good and I can still meet my objectives. We've lost the point, right? You've completely lost the point of creating health and quality of life as a result of choosing, health and fitness and working out, right? The point of all of it, of changing your nutrition and focusing on your health and what you can do, is to improve quality of life. And that's going to come through real food, real movement, and holding yourself to a standard. Another problem with not having a standard is you cheat yourself sometimes, right? If the standard is not defined, it's easy to kind of go close to it. And, sometimes you're there and sometimes you're here. And as a result, you're starting to believe that, well, I don't necessarily need to do it right. or do it well or do it the same every time. And the problem with that is like, yeah, you do, right? And you start to allow yourself to, I'm going to use a big word here, but cheat. And I've seen this before, even in our gym, that you'll get someone who just gets so focused on the result, the score, the number, the reps, that the quality just falls off. And if your goal is longevity, and I don't mean long life, but I mean quality of life, length of quality, whatever you want to call it, that like, don't cheat yourself. Physically, it's going to be a limitation, but mostly in here, right? You start to believe that it's not important to do what you say or to hit the standard that is correct. So we've talked about a lot of stuff this morning, but I want to reiterate a couple. One, what's this? Signed. You look great, bro. Hi, doggo, pet it now. Sind, tell us about you. You work out? We're talking about full range of motion, right? We're really bashing the burpee this morning. Not bashing it, but talking about why to do a burpee and what's the purpose and why you should think about that as opposed to just going through the motions, right? A burpee is get down, get up. There's no requirement in my world for a push-up. Definitely not for 5 push-ups. I'm okay if you want to do a push-up as long as that push-up goes to the ground. You know, maybe even to the point where you release the hands to show that you're on the ground. Otherwise, you're just going through the motions. We're just half repping it, half-assing it, and not getting the real benefits. You start to believe that, hey, I don't need to go all the way. You also just start to assess things based on their, reductionist understanding of it. That, you know, if I want to be fit, I just need to like work this a little bit, work this a little bit, work this a little bit, and then like I'm balanced, or I'm fit, or I'm aesthetically pleasing, whatever your goal is. But it doesn't make any sense. I don't, to be honest, even, unless you are competing as a bodybuilder, there's no point. There's no point in doing isolation exercises outside of rehab, prehab. So consider when you're going to either do another workout or join a workout program or do anything in your life that there's a standard that you should hit. And there's a reason why you should hit that standard, because there's a purpose for that movement, at least for functional movements. For the isolation stuff, there's really no purpose for that aside from trying to hit a certain muscle. But that's not fitness. That's not life. That's not capacity in the real world. Because in the real world, who gives a shit what you look like if you can't do the thing? If you can't get up off the toilet? If you can't get up off the floor? So, what I'm saying, let's see what we got. And Kit Sharma, we're just putting emojis on here. I do a backflip burpees. Yeah, I don't think you do. Also, what does that even mean? Alva, sweet baby. Score more production. It's interesting. You go live stream long enough and people start to show up. Ask questions. Don't just say silly stuff. So remember, standards, right? There's a purpose for the movement that you're doing. It is not to build a certain muscle. It is to accomplish a certain goal, right? The goal of the pull-up is not to build the bicep and the lats. It is to pull up. The goal of the burpee is not to jack up the chest. It is to get up off the floor. The point of the squat is not to build the quads. It is to get up from a squat position. And if you're not focusing on the purpose of the movement, you got a problem. And 2, if you're not focusing on that full range of motion, you're not doing the movement in the way that I'm going to say it, right? I do in my dreams. Nice. That's pretty cool. What do you do in real life? Because I can do a whole lot of stuff in my dreams, but it doesn't always translate to real life. So if your squat doesn't look like this, and I don't mean look like this. But if it's not getting full range of motion, you probably can't see any of this because this darn dog is in the way. Maybe I'll just do a squat with her. Right? If your squat doesn't look, in terms of range of motion, something that looks like this, you don't need to do it with this dog. This dog's going crazy. But like sit it down, right? To the point where you could poop there. Jeez. I know. That was a bad move. Right? If your squat doesn't look like that, if your press doesn't look like this at the top, if your pull up doesn't look like this at the bottom, if your dip doesn't look like this at the bottom and this at the top, then we're just spinning our wheels. There's a lot of this, back in the day talk about, well, you don't want to lock out because you want to keep tension on the muscle. That's just such a silly thought to me that, like, I want to get the tension off the muscle, right? If I have to do a job, think about this, right? We're out on the farm. If I'm building fence, right? I'm carrying around a cedar post or something. I am not going to do it like this. You don't walk like that. I don't want to keep tension on my muscles. I want to use my skeleton in the way that it was meant to be used and extend the hips and neutralize my spine. And that's going to be the strongest way to support it, because that's the purpose, is accomplish the goal safely and efficiently, not load up the muscle, keep tension on the muscle. There's just no purpose, right? I need to be able to do the thing. I need to be able to get up off the floor, aka do a burpee. I need to be able to, poop, but at the same time, get out of that position. So full range of motion and purposeful movement selection and intention. And I mean, we can talk constant variance and intensity as well there, but step one, like, do the movement for a reason that is not aesthetically driven, and do it to a standard that makes sense to do it. Hopefully that makes sense. What are we saying here? Nico, I recently started to run consistently. What home bodyweight exercises should I be able to do to get body working well? P.S. I'm overweight. Nico, if you're still there, just join us. We're here every morning working out together. I've been coaching for 25 years. We raise our own food. My wife's a naturopathic doctor. Health is what we do. Functional human health is what we do. So just join us. You can just follow along. We do it every morning together. And then, like, if you're overweight, that's kitchen stuff, right? Body composition is not going to change dramatically through exercise. It's going to come through changing the inflammation in your body. If we are overweight, we are likely pretty inflamed, right? There's some chronic inflammation in there that is not allowing your body to heal. Likely the insulin levels are chronically elevated as a result of overconsumption of carbohydrates. And as a result, you're storing fat, right? When insulin is up, when blood sugar is up, insulin is up because there's blood sugar there's sugar in the bloodstream, and elevated insulin, especially chronically, will eventually just lead to more and more fat accumulation. So step one, cut down the carbs, and that's going to reduce inflammation, reduce the insulin flowing around in your blood, and allow you to let fat out of your cells. But it's not going to happen with elevated insulin. So change the food, maybe do that first, because that's going to start making you feel better, or start exercising, and that'll motivate you to change your food because you'll realize that it's more challenging to move when you're overweight. But those two components are going to be necessary. And if you're struggling with those things, it could be because you're overtired, because you're not sleeping, or because of some sort of stressor that we're not dealing with as well, because health is a holistic thing. And if you don't have all the pieces together, then you're going to struggle. One falls off, and that's going to cause the others to fall off. So assess that. What is the one most important thing that if you change, it'll help you change the others, and go with that. Sin or signed. I train 6 to 7 days per week. Focus on not so intense routines. Did low rep weightlifting for years. When you say weightlifting, do you mean like lifting weights, bodybuilding, or do you mean weightlifting, the sport of weightlifting, snatch and clean and jerk? Got super strong, but recovery time is insane. You miss every other activity training like this. I'm going to disagree with you on that. We train every day, And, part of the reason why we don't miss everything is because we do it at 5 a.m. I've got a farm, I've got 2 kids, I own a gym in town, and life is busy. So if I don't get it in early, it's not going to happen. So if you just carve it out, don't train for hours, right? We train for 1 hour every morning, max. And, you can recover from that if you're being smart about what you're doing. Intensity is fantastic, which also means you're not going to go for as long a duration, right? If your intensity is high, you're not going for half an hour straight. Our longest workout so far has been 30 minutes, I guess, with the step-ups. Tomorrow might be 20. We'll see. Also, if you're interested, tomorrow we're doing 200 unbroken back squats. Definitely come and watch. 5 a.m., 200 unbroken back squats. I don't know if it's realistic, but it is day 200 in a row of the 5 a.m. squat club tomorrow, and that's what I'm going to try to do. So if you've got the time tomorrow morning, come and watch. Ideally, participate, but even still, just watch and see if I can do it without falling apart. Lay back music. What about how to breathe during it? Are there specific techniques you follow? I do and I don't, right? Step 1, do the movement. Step 2, if you're out of breath, you're probably holding your breath and should think about making sure you breathe. The only time that I really focus on breathing is when we're doing any kind of heavy stuff and I want to create a little bit of extra intra-abdominal pressure, like we're doing a heavy squat or a heavy deadlift or a heavy press. I'm going to take a big belly breath, lock it up before I do my movement just to create extra tension through here so that I don't get any bending through the spine while I'm moving. But in terms of breathing, like the main thing that I see when training people is just do it, right? Don't hold your breath while you're exercising if you're, doing a workout kind of thing. Score more. You have a great core. Do you recommend training abs consistently or just sticking to a deficit? Oh, man. So score more. When you say deficit, I'm assuming you mean calorie deficit, and that doesn't exist, right? I do not. I know there's a lot of talk out there about calories in, calories out. Just don't eat so many carbs. It's not that complex. Don't eat things that come in a box. Right? Don't eat bread, don't eat donuts, don't eat crackers and pasta and rice. Just eat things that are real. If you can stab it, pull it, pluck it, eat it. But mostly meats, right? Like, yeah, I can go and pluck fruit off a tree, but if I live off of fruit, I'm going to get fat, right? That's just pure sugar. So what was the question? Right, core. So core, yes. Your abs definitely come in the kitchen, right? Everybody has abs. You would not stand up if you didn't have abs. They're just not visible because you have extra body fat. And the extra body fat is kept there because of chronically elevated insulin levels due to chronic carbohydrate consumption. So you bring down the carbs, you will see your abs. What else we got? Ryan says standard. Repping my squats and burpees has led to making my weak cardio engine improve during workouts. I have to think about pacing. Oh yeah, pacing. Pacing is something that, once you get into CrossFit and you get more and more mature into it, definitely necessary. Thank you very much. I'll be joining you, my good sir. Thanks, Nico. Let's go. Synod, what time zone? What time is it? It is 7:12 right now. We're Eastern Standard, but our main session is at 5 a.m. It already happened this morning. We do it every morning at 5 a.m. These vertical live streams I just do maybe once a week just to drum up some extra attention. Ryan says, breathing helps, but I know what you mean. I breathe all day and night, helps me stay alive. That is true, my friend. That is true. That being said, a lot of us breathe like assholes. And I breathed like an asshole for so many years, and I'm still working on it. Breathing through my mouth obviously a lot of us at night stop breathing, right? Like sleep apnea is more and more common nowadays than anything. And that's because we're overweight and we don't know how to breathe. Definitely read Breath by, I think it's James Nestor. Fantastic book on why you should shut your damn mouth. Excellent. Perfect answer. Thank you so much. I subscribe. Thank you. Join us on the regular sessions every morning at 5 a.m. That would be awesome. Score more. Ryan, abs built in the kitchen. Yep. That's 11 a.m. in my time zone. Maybe I'll be there. Hey, let's do it. So, Synod, are you in the UK? KDL, how you doing? We're talking standards. We're talking the purpose of exercise should have a function, right? Doing a squat should be for doing a squat as opposed to building my quads or my hamstrings or anything. Germany, awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, you could definitely join us. It wouldn't be, a super early morning wake up for you, but still join us. You get super fit. Ryan, breathing tips for burpees for rhythm. Good question. Well, let's do some and see how it feels. Dog. Okay, so I'm just going to do some burpees and kind of see how that. To be honest, I just focus on breathing. I just really focus on not holding my breath, and that seems to be more than enough. I see the people that I train sometimes that they'll get up on the pull-up bar and they're doing like toes to bar or something, and I'm listening and I'm watching them, and like 7 reps go by and I'm like, you haven't taken a single breath. So really, I would just focus on breathing, period, as opposed to focusing so much on when to breathe. So yeah, currently, as I'm starting here, I'm just breathing normally. Not really thinking about when to breathe or not. Maybe once I get tired, we'll get there. I'll just do a few here and see kind of how it feels. Yeah, to be honest, I think what you'll find is that as long as you're not holding your breath, you will breathe. And your body will know, hey, I need air, I'm going to inhale. Or, hey, I've got enough air, I'm going to exhale. Yeah, I'm not really thinking about it, to be honest. Especially since I'm talking here. But the key is just breathe. Right? And if you find yourself completely out of breath, is it because you're going too fast? Or is it because you're holding your breath? All right, we're starting to get out of breath. Let's see. I could breathe louder so that you can hear if you want. But no, I'm just breathing. I wish I was breathing through my nose, but I'm not. So, not necessarily a good answer to your question, but I'm just breathing. I'm just making sure that I'm not holding my breath at a very base level, I think. All right, that's been an hour. We did enough burpees. We talked enough trash. Remember, this is just for fun. The real program is every morning, 5 a.m. Eastern. We get together. We take a couple minutes to prime our minds. We warm up for 10 minutes. We do a workout that's between 10 and 20 minutes or so. Sometimes they're EMOMs, sometimes they're AMRAPs. We do some opportunity work Monday through Friday afterwards, a little bit of skill or strength work. And then that's it. We're done by 6 o'clock. And then we talk about how to achieve our goals moving forward outside of fitness in our lives. So if you're interested in making a change in your health, your fitness, your life, right? Achieving goals in your life, creating the perfect life that you want, it comes from discipline, and with us, it comes from community, because you're going to get support from the team. Every morning, we're together doing it together. So it's not just me leading you through it. We're doing it together. We talk modifications and scaling options for whatever fitness level you're at, and we'll do it together. So that's today. Fitness Church complete. Remember, tomorrow's 5 a.m. session, I'm going to try to do 200 unbroken back squats. We'll get a little bit of weight on this guy. You can't see the barbell there. I'm thinking maybe 95 pounds, and I'm just going to keep the barbell on my back the whole time and see if I can survive. So if you want a little bit of entertainment or you want to test yourself tomorrow morning, join us, and we're here every day. Love you guys. 5 a.m. Squat Club. Definitely no breath. Point of me ages ago. Breathe in on the way down. There you go. Yeah, if you want to find a rhythm, and that's great. Shirley, have a great Saturday. I feel like we didn't get any of the people in here that do the funny burpees. Oh well. Remember, lay down all the way, get back up. What's the purpose? Have yourselves a great Saturday. Peace. How do I stop this? Peace.